Okay, so hi everyone, welcome on board, and congratulations on getting shortlisted for TISS. This is the first time TISS is accepting CAT scores, and I'm glad to have our seniors from TISS, that's Prachi and Arijit, on sharing your interview experiences with everyone. So, why don't you guys quickly give a brief introduction about you, your profile before joining TISS, and then let's talk about how was your TISS interview experience. Prachi, why don't you get started?
Sure, ma'am. Good evening. Happy to be here again. It feels very nostalgic to be here attending these sessions and now being a part of those. So, talking about my journey before this, I have done my bachelor's in finance and investment from Christ University. It was a BCom honors course. Post that, since I was interested into finance and taxation, I took up my role as a tax analyst in Ernst& and Young. Post that, business and strategy drew me a lot, so I worked as a founder's office role at Inside IIM, where I took up multiple verticals: community management, revenue generation, strategy, employer branding. And post that, my interest towards people management and understanding of HR took me to ODCL, and here currently I'm spending my stint at this ODCL. Happy to
All
meet you guys.
lovely. Arijit, how about you?
Hi Anisha ma'am. Hi everyone. So I am Arijit Patnaik. I've done my undergraduation in chemistry and have a previous post graduation too in environmental studies. So that pushed me into my job role, which was as a biotech project management consultant with a company called GCC Biotech based out of Delhi. So having had a great work experience of about 2 years, I wanted to really delve back into the management life, and that pulled me into the ODCL program at TISS. So looking forward to having a great session with you all. Thank you so much, Anisha ma'am, for having me back.
Lovely. Good to see you guys back here. And why don't you guys share your interview experience? And how was your interviews last year? This year, what can be the changes they can expect, considering now they are giving more weightage to CAT, and also understand about everybody's been asking what is this DAF. Everyone just knows what is DAF. So if you could give some light on what it actually consists of.
Sure, ma'am. So, yes, the weightage for CAT has gone higher, and yes, last time we also had GD, that is group discussion, but this year we are only sticking to personal interview and whatever percentage on CAT and other diversity factors that we have. Before starting my interview experience and the two stages of interview, I'll just try to brief more on what DAF is all about. So DAF stands for Detailed Application Form. It is it is similar to an application form that other B schools also accept, with the differentiation in the factor that since this is a social science school and since R is a behavioral science program, so we also have some behavioral questions addressing of why you want to join this program and why your journey makes it very relevant for you to join this program. You have to justify your intent towards the program, and DAF plays a major role in your interview as well, because that sync of what you were, what you want to be, and what you currently are should match very well. So that is what DAF plays a major role in. Coming to my interview experience, we had a GD which was done on a different date for me, and then a PI on a different date, and DAF was before GD and PI. So my PI, there were questions around four fronts. Those are mostly the four fronts that interviewer tests you at interview at us. So the first is your personal, the primary details about you, where have you been from, your cultural understanding, your growth as a person, of how different experiences in life have shaped you. Again, your academic pursuits of what you were doing. For example, I have a BCom in finance and investment. From that, I shifted to a strategy job. Now from that, I'm coming to a behavioral science course, a course in HR, a course in OD. So why that jump? So that I have to justify. A very interesting other fact that we have is we have to compulsorily read a book that is referred to us before our interview starts. So these books are based again on organization development. The intent of the book is to actually help us understand why OD fits in our perspective, and it also helps us understand as students of why we want to do this course. So the understanding of the book, the learning of the book is very important to bridge that gap of what we know as ODCL as a program and why we want to do it. So there were questions from that book. So I had questions on inductive reasoning. What is deductive reasoning? What do you mean by organization development? What do you mean by use of self? So there were questions on that. There were questions on my hobbies. There were good number of questions on my hobbies, because interviewers want to look at overall perspective, overall persona that are bringing to the profile, to the cohort. So there were questions on that. There were questions on my marketing background that I had. So it's a mix of all angles. The core of the interview is intent. The questions revolving are your primary, your questions on aptitude, questions on why you want to join the program, questions on your hobbies, questions on the core subject. So that was my overall interview. Ma'am, you're mute.
Yes, that's really nice, Prachi. So, this was specifically book which you mentioned that's for students who are shortlisted for OD. If you are shortlisted for only HR, like if I had selected only HR in the application form, then that particular book will not be a part of my
No.
interview, right? Okay, great. So that's a one differentiating factor, guys, for all the HR and the ODCL students. So depending on what program you have selected, you will have those questions coming in as well. Coming on to Arijit, what was your interview experience? And also, given your perspective towards DAF, like how did you go about approaching your DAF?
Yeah, I believe on the major points which Prachi mentioned, that is definitely something that I looked at. That's an overlap. But adding to it, I believe it would be the fact that, the moment you're writing your DAF, you have to have in your mind what other type of questions would you like to be asked in the interview, because what you write in your DAF is something that will be carried to your interview, right? And that has to be watertight. That is something that you have thought about deeply. It is defensible. And the moment you write something in your DAF, you have to understand what are the other things that can be extrapolated from that. That is something that has to come into your thought process. The second part is that your DAF should be very reflective of a proper connection between your past. That means your, be it your academic journey or your work experience, and how that has led you, how that experiences has led you to actually select a program at TISS, be it HR or be it OD. So that clarity and connection should be very well reflected in your DAF.
Okay, that's good. And how about your personal interview?
Yeah, when it comes to my personal interview, I believe it very well started with my DAF, wherein they asked about the interesting components of my work experience or and my academic journey, because I've had a previous masters as well. So they asked me, why this second masters? So things like these, these hot points that you mentioned on your uh, DAF, tend to carry their attention, and that is something you are likely to be asked questions on. So, how do you defend that? How do you say that, there's a natural progression? That is very important. The moment it becomes something, as confined to being very mechanical, or, something that, I was not able to maybe achieve what I wanted to, it shouldn't be that. That hunger for growth is something that, they see at this, and whether or not you're academically inclined to towards the subjects is also something that is judged by the panelists very often.
Okay, okay. That's good. And how about, with respect to life at TISS, or the kind of clubs and committees which are there, which you think that these students should be well aware of and prepare before going for the TISS interview?
Well, I guess when it comes to the life at TISS, it is very vibrant, because firstly, what you have to understand is that, there are so many courses, that each course is, whether it be psychology, whether it be, your developmental studies, each, of these programs help you to learn beyond the beyond the classroom. And even in the classroom, the diversity that you bring in is something that is respected, is something that is you are looked at to contribute to the diversity of the class with your unique experiences. So that openness to everybody coming into the campus is something that I believe really adds to your learning experience and makes it very different from any other B school, where you might not have as much of a diversity as you have in this.
Okay, okay. That's good. Prachi, anything you would like to add here?
Sure. So, ma'am, the so there are different schools in TISS. So our school comes under School of Management and Labor Studies. Now under School of Management also there are different courses. So we come from the TISS ODCL courses. Now there are activities, there are clubs and committees under each of the courses under School of Management. Then there are activities where we represent School of Management. There are activities we come as TISS as a whole. So there are so many activities that we can't even list down for students. The opportunities where students can network, where students can meet people from diverse background is immense. So cannot be listed, cannot be constricted, because every MBA colleges maybe have one cultural fest, but we have 10 cultural fest, because every department is having a cultural fest every week. Every department is having their fest, every department is having the case competition. So there are, under every school there are different fest, under every, again, domain there are different fest. So it is endless. Now what other things that, under School of Management that generally covers, and what I can maybe help juniors with this: a, there are obviously placement committees as clubs. Then there are media and PR committees, there are capability committees, there are committees who conduct TED talks, there are marketing committees. So there are different sense of committees, and there's obviously enough opportunity for you to come up with any idea that you have. So that's also TISS provides you. So, and there are immense ways where you can actually, so for example, if you're interested in social entrepreneurship, you can actually have an option to tie up with a friend from social entrepreneurship to come up with an idea of your, you can also have a business of your own. There are people from psychology background, there are people from hospital background. So the opportunities to commingle among different courses, that is rare in any MBA college, is immense here. So you have that MBA vibe under School of Management. At the same time, you have the vibe of having discussion with other schools across the college. So that is what makes this unique and the courses unique.
Okay, that's interesting. Any parting thoughts or advice that you would like to give to all the test call getters with respect to things they should do before going for the interview, or what is it that they should look forward for in the 2 years at TISS?
I guess the first thing that I'd like to tell everyone is, right, that giving cat and its percentile coming out is one part of the journey. Let's not, please don't carry anything from it to your interview, right? The a preconceived notion that I've just made the cut, because at this, that is not how you're seen. Your interview will be the deciding factor. So give you 100% for it, definitely. And just be genuine, right? Just be genuine for the subject that you're taking in, the motivations that you have. And because that there is a lot to look forward to in terms of the experience that you have, because of course you're at the financial capital Bombay, so opportunities are a galore. And the people who will be guiding you are also the best in their fields. And your off class experiences are also going to be very vivid, as Prachi has already talked about at length. So you have a really exciting journey moving into the campus. Best of luck, guys.
Okay, that was really interesting. Now, for the remaining conversations, we will tell goodbye to the YouTube family. And okay, sorry, just give me one quick second. All right. Yeah. So, couple of things that we were discussing earlier. Let's talk about that as well. So, Prachi, y'all were talking about like WorkX. How much important is the WorkX? So, we have students here, some with 1 year of WorkX, some years freshers, and 6 months. So, what do you think is the importance of that?
Correct. So, ma'am, WorkX helps you understand. So, once you're a fresher, you have the understand of theoretical knowledge. Some of us would also have internships with us. So, any sort of experience when you're stepping out of your comfort zone and working in a corporate or in a startup gives you understanding of what other strengths or weaknesses you have, or what kind of interests you have. So, having a work experience always helps, because you're bringing some sort of diversity, some sort of experience, some sort of maturity to the cohort that you're bringing in. So again, so talking about work experience as a criteria, there are two courses which we are mostly referring to here. One is HRM and other is ODCL. ODCL has a fixed 2 year work criteria, so people having should have minimum of 2 years of work experience. That is the filtration criteria for TISS ODCL. HRM, however, freshers are also eligible to apply. So that is the filtering criteria. Now, just coming to random understanding of why work experience is important, it gives you again that edge of understanding of why you want to do certain things. For example, the reason I had some clarity, because I did jobs in two places. One, I worked as a finance. Other place, I worked as a strategist. So then, working there made me understand and realize my strengths, and it also made me realize what I want to do next. So that is where my experience helps. and also I can add value to the cohort when I'm coming in. So that is the major role of experience.
Lovely. That's really nice. Prachi, I think that would help people like the ones who spoke about how to talk about their experience. Quick question is, if you could share some insights, Arijit, you can also add in with respect to how are the panelists? Is it like faculties or alumni, or what should one expect with respect to my interview panelists?
So the panelists are something that, who they are, whether they're alumni or faculty, would, depend year on year. But there is one thing that I can guarantee is the fact that, the motivation that they look at, right, is something that is common to all panelists. That, I've talked to all of my batchmates, and that is something that is very clear. The parameters will not. Pressure interviews are something that are very rare at TISS. Till date, that is not something that we have very really witnessed. But there'll be simple conversations. But throughout those conversations, what they will try to gauge is your genuinity, your relation mapping with where you were and where you want to go. So that clarity of thought is very important. And also your academic bent is something that they will check for. uh, Adding on to Prachi's points, there are a lot of people that also do not come with an experience, right? So what is that USP that they bring in from being a fresher? That is also something that the panelists would like to see. It is about the panelists just want to see that what is your USP that you bring into the cohort, because at the end of the day they want a cohort that is very rich, that lives up to TISS's legacy, and they want to check into you whether you add to it or not. So that is the broader line. And you really can do not go with any preconceived notions so as to maybe only quantitative questions or theoretical questions on HR or ODCL. It's not like that. Sometimes you have interviews that are completely behavioral, but that is all that is needed to judge you.
Okay, that's really good. Anybody would like to ask any questions? Saurabh, you can unmute yourself and ask the questions as well.
So, is there any book for HR as well that we have to read before going to the interview?
uh, for HR specifications, not sure, but do read about the different HR streams. For example, HR also, under HR there are different subheads, which is like training and development. Then there is employer branding. There is compensation and benefits. These are the different functions that HR take up. So each functions then are deep dived even further. So HR is a very broad term. It has different aspects to it. Now, which of these aspects interests you more is only you are going to only find out when you actually go through them, because there's a overlapping between them. Everything is very different, and to be able to have an understanding of why you want to go to the HR course and what after HR, because when you're sitting for placements, you also need to understand which company is coming for which role. Now, which role do you want to take should be basis your interest, your capabilities, and your background. So, why a certain role is that you will have to only understand through reading these materials. We can share some
Prachi,
topics. Yeah.
so Prachi, talking about like HR, since he mentioned about the book, how about the HR dossier on the dashboard? Even you would have gone through it, in your prep days.
Yes.
So how helpful were they, Arijit and Prachi, for the interviews?
Yes, I believe that's exactly what I was actually going to talk about. That the HR dossier that is shared, on the CATKing dashboard, that I believe is something that you will have to go through very thoroughly, because that is something that will help you to connect uh, with your aspirations moving forward. The moment you understand the material that is provided, I don't think there is very much beyond that you need to see. Of course, if you have an interest towards a certain specific topic, you can deep dive into it, but more or less the material that is provided is, I believe, sufficient, unless the till the point that you're understanding it, it's really comprehensive in that sense.
Okay, got it.
Okay, that's good. And how about the interviews? Like, are they stress interviews, or are they something like, more informative overall in general, if you were to summarize it?
So interviews mostly are dynamic. It depends on what you are answering. So generally the tendency is not to actually have a stress interview, because they want to know you as a person more, and they want to have a very peaceful, stress-free environment created for you, so that you come out very freely in front of them, and that is mostly the behavioral aspect of TISS and the social science aspect of TISS, where they actually want to treat you very comfortably, and maybe that is the way of understanding you more as a person. So the idea of pushing you to the corner is not actually the idea, but again, it is a very dynamic thing basis what answers you're giving, what is the reply to different questions, how well are you able to match your aspirations with what is reality, will again define the tonality and the sequence of questions in the interview.
Okay, I think that was really lovely and interesting. Thank you so much, Prachi and Arijit, for joining in. I hope the session was helpful for all the students who are listening to us on YouTube and here as well. And if you guys have any more doubts about this interviews preparation, just drop in the comments, and me, Prachi, Arijit, will all take care of helping you guys. But make sure you convert your calls. It's really good college with a very good ROI, and where I used to stay before, the TISS students can stay outside campus as well also. So I've always had a bunch of 6, 7 folks living right above my house from TISS. So a lot of good things to hear about the college. You'll have a lot of fun. But convert karo, and then 2 years will be really good. Come to Mumbai. All right, great. Thank you so much, everyone. All the best. Take care. Okay, thanks, Prachi, thanks, Arijit. And if these people have any more questions,